Here with Dr. Ginny Kaplan, a returning guest to many shows that we've done. How's the conference going for you?
Fabulous. My presentations are done, and so now I just get to enjoy.
Oh, so that's a weight off then.
It is. I like to do the pre-cons, and then I can just enjoy the rest of the conference.
What have you been talking about?
So my pre-conference was a 2-day session we did like an EMS research event. I'm the executive director of the Foundation for Prehospital Medicine Research, and we do some events very similar to ESO's research thing that they do in Texas. But we do that here.
Let's
locally.
call it the Research-a-thon.
Research-a-thon, yeah.
It may not be, but that's what we'll call it for this interview, right?
I dig it.
Right.
So we bring novice folks together, teach them all about the research process, and they put a project together over the course of a weekend. And then we help submit those to the fabulous Dave Page at the PCRF, so those folks can present their beautiful work at the national conference.
Excellent. And so what has been the sort of top research items for you this year in particular?
In our groups, we had a project on the management of postpartum hemorrhage with TXA. We looked at patients who would be eligible for whole blood based on their urbanicity. And then we had another project on how ROSC rates were influenced by what type of vascular access modality was used.
Excellent. So I'm just going to pick one of those then. I can't say that.
TXA.
Tranexamic acid. There we go. TXA. Smarty pants, Rob. It was up there in terms of research topics. Everyone was talking about it. I seem to think it's kind of fallen off the wall a little bit. So what have you done with that, and obviously bringing that back into focus?
Yeah, it's interesting because TXA is, everybody knows it's for trauma, and It's great.
Right.
What a lot of people don't know is that there are forms of TXA that are used for lady problems like hemorrhaging, fibroid tumors, and for postpartum hemorrhage. It's very safe in both of those environments. But I think what we're seeing in the literature, and again, this is anecdotal, can't prove this particular thing.
So is this a literature research?
No, we're using actual data from the 2020 ESO Data Collaborative.
Excellent.
We love ESO. They're so good to us. So what we're seeing, though, is what I think is either paramedics aren't recognizing postpartum hemorrhage, or they're not treating it with TXA, or they don't have TXA to treat it with. But of the patients that we had in our data set, only 4% of them were treated with TXA. And these were all patients who were pregnant in some way and had a postpartum hemorrhage.
So TXA, hopefully you'll get that retrending. Whole blood, that's a trending topic right now. What have you been doing research-wise with that?
It certainly is. So Sarah Houston, who is the captain over the FTEP program at Durham County EMS, and Dave Grovedall, who is the EMS director at Cumberland County EMS here in North Carolina, did a study looking at the kind of patients who would be eligible for whole blood products outside of the typical golden hour type window, based on whether they were in urban, suburban, or like super rural environments, and how much that might cost a particular agency who might want to implement a whole blood program. Because that's usually an issue, is the cost scares people away.
Right, and that's actually, I think there was a paper that I saw come out a couple of months ago on the sort of the logistics of doing this. Of course, we've talked about a lot of the wholesomeness of the blood product and having it in your system, but actually there's as you say, there is a background cost, there is a logistics to it. You know, my theory is if we all do whole blood, then where the hell are we getting it from? It's got to come from somewhere, and I know that some departments now have, donation sessions to get them going. And, are we all going to do that? I mean, that's got to be an issue. Of course, we're not all using it.
Perhaps the message should be, please give blood and save life.
Please give blood and save life, absolutely. But, of course, there are storage issues. There is a lifespan to it.
Right.
There's a rotation issue. There's stock rotation, etc.
There's cost with screening and all that other stuff combined. Absolutely.
So what did you determine from your study?
I did the postpartum hemorrhage with TXA study, and we're seeing that there are you're 5 times more likely to receive TXA with an increasing pre-hospital shock index, which is good. Although, if you're seeing shock signs in a pregnant hemorrhaging woman, you're too late.
Yeah.
They can lose up to 30% of their blood volume before they ever show signs of hemodynamic compromise. But at least if we're recognizing hemorrhagic shock, it is seemingly being treated with TXA. when it's recognized. Interestingly, one of the univariate relationships that we found were that African American women were half, the proportion that received TXA was half in African American women compared to any other race. So that certainly lends credence to the increased maternal mortality rates, and particularly in those of African American women. So it does support kind of the literature that's already out there on that topic.
Excellent. Now, where can we go to read these studies or to read more and follow along?
Well, I would suggest that you come to the national conference in Las Vegas this year, and maybe there will be poster and or oral presentations at the PCRF's research stuff.
So we are talking about EMS World Expo.
Of course we are.
Of course we are. We'll be there. And we actually had Kevin Colopy on talking about Stand and Deliver. So there's some exciting stuff happening at Expo, and obviously you're going to be there presenting as well then.
Of course. I can't let Kevin go by himself.
No,
He's
we
not
can't.
allowed to be unsupervised.
He's not allowed to be unsupervised. You heard it, Kevin. If you are watching this back, there we go. You can't be unsupervised. Ginny, as always, it's a pleasure talking to you. It's a pleasure being your agent as well.
Thank you.
Not many people know that, but
He is my agent.
If we need a speaker for something, then of course, Ginny, you're one of the first people I call.
Well, thank you so much. I love that I'm on your speed dial.
On my speed dial. Anyway, that's enough about that. Back to you.